think a lot of people are afraid to say what they truly desire, what they truly want, because they've been told to kind of follow a certain path and keep themselves small. And, people will put them down or compete with them, or they have these beliefs that people will come after them if they're too ambitious or they're too outside of the box or whatever it may be. And a lot of people say those things because they're envious or because they themselves are not able to break into what they really want to be doing, and they kind of pull other people down. Or it's just the first time that you've ever had a big dream that you really want to go after. And I think for you, it sounds like actually being in Colombia and seeing what the life would be like if you were there was something that you were able to keep with you when you were back in the UK, and kind of planning for that so that you could make it happen. Would you say that was the case?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important to have a clear idea of where you want to go. You don't need to know exactly how. This is where I think people get caught up. They're like, yeah, but I can't have a clear idea because I don't know how I'm going to get there. I'm like, well, hang on a second. Like, what? Just taking away society's invisible guiding hand and the opinions of your friends and family and Dave on social media who wants to cut you down, taking away everyone's opinion. What do you want to do? And be really careful here, because it's very, very easy to write out your vision and then realize that actually half of the stuff is all driven by what society wants for you without even realizing, because we are conditioned. And I'm not some weird conspiracy theorist. It's just completely normal that we are conditioned by what is around us. That's how we grow up. So write out your vision, question whether some parts of it are actually in there. A classic would be like, writing the vision out and being as specific as the car you want to drive, the place you want to live, all this stuff. And if the place ends up being Bali because you've heard that that's the cool place for nomads or whatever, that could be right for you. But if you've never been there, maybe that's actually just because Bali looks really cool and Canggu's a really nice place to chill out with other people who do the same as you. Just be careful, like if it's your desire or if it's someone else's. The car would be a classic one. It's just like people would be like, oh, I want to drive a Mercedes or whatever. All right, but why? So you can show other people that you drive a Mercedes. Now, if it's actually because you bloody love cars and you think that riding in comfort and whatever is really important, it resonates, great, keep it in your vision. But just be careful how much of it is being influenced by society, because I got caught up when I first started building my own life vision, which I read now every morning. You can have things in there that you realize are actually influenced by other people and they're not what you truly want. So keep digging deeper and ask why. Why is this in here? Why does it resonate with me? And then once you've got something that looks like the life you would want to live, and to be clear, this changes all the time, but once you've got a good idea of that, then you can say, okay, how might I go? How does that person act? How do I need to start getting there? And it doesn't start with a 10 grand, 20 grand month in your freelance business. Obviously, it starts with literally one client paying you any money to do some work for them. That's the first step for anyone who reaches their end vision of building a business.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. I know personally, I often do an exercise where I just ask myself, if there was nobody else, if nobody else existed on this planet and it was just you, what would you do? And just giving myself the opportunity to journal around that is really helpful for me, because I naturally gravitate towards pleasing others and meeting others' expectations of me, rather than I get to be the one to make decisions just based on what I want. And it's funny you were talking about the Mercedes thing, because a while ago I wanted to get a Mercedes, and I was really battling with myself as to why am I doing this? Why do I want this? Do I only want this so I can show it off to people, or do I actually want it? And it was really hard for me to kind of unpick what is real and what is pressure or expectation. And I really had to sit and think about it. And I do this with everything that I desire. I have to know the reason why. And for me, there actually was a good reason why I wanted it. And it was because it helps to up level my mindset. Every time I drive it, I feel like I'm successful, I'm doing well, I have the money to pay for this every month, and it makes me feel great. It makes me feel accomplished and successful and capable, and that's why I got it. And every time I'm in it now, I have that feeling, and I remind myself like, oh, you did this for yourself. Like this is a thing that you really wanted that you have now. And so I think if you don't know the why behind something, you can't truly appreciate that thing either, because you have to say
100%.
no to so many things in order to get the things that you do want. And
Yeah.
sometimes, even as a self-employed individual or someone running a company, you get so bogged down in all the day-to-day stuff that you have to do, and you start feeling really miserable or really like frustrated by it, and then you have to take a step back and be like, why am I doing this in the first place? And for me,
Mhm.
when I do that, I'm like, oh, it's so that I have the freedom to do what I want. And then I realized, oh, I don't have to be serving this client that makes me feel like shit. Or I don't have to
Mhm.
be accepting this project for really shitty money. Like I actually have the freedom right now to say no. And so it totally reframes my mindset when I'm running my business as well. I don't know if you've had that kind of experience.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I'm not slagging off people if they want a Mercedes. Like if it's for the right reasons, and creating a first class mindset is a great reason, right? There's a lot to be said for. I once heard it spoken about, but people were talking about, there's a couple of business coaches in London, and they were talking about they used to go to like the Savoy Hotel in London to have business meetings and pay obscene amounts of money for a coffee, but just because it
Yeah.
got them into an environment which up
Yeah.
leveled the way that they thought and their mindset, and the fact that they felt like they deserved to be in that environment. So if that's what a
Yeah.
Mercedes is creating for you, awesome. I'm just saying, like, it's very easy for society's invisible hand to guide you towards Mercedes, BMW, whatever it is, right? And
Yeah.
then you're in it and you're like, this doesn't resonate with me at all. And
Yeah.
so I completely get that. And I think it's just like this whole idea of like a life vision, and having a very clear idea of your identity and constantly refining that, that's key. So people throw around mindset a lot, but it's absolutely crucial in what I do, in what business coaches do, in any growth, like anything where you're working with human potential and like people becoming better. Mindset is the factor that differentiates people who do well and people who do exceptionally well. Right? It's not tactics and tools and tricks and this funnel and that funnel. If we're talking about business or with health, it's not this supplement, that supplement, this crazy workout, orange theory, or whatever they're doing these days. Like it's none of that stuff. It's like, how do you actually approach this? Where's your mind every morning? How do you set yourself up in the morning? How do you set
Yeah.
your days up? Do you read through your life vision? Do you have a clear idea of where you're going to get to? Do you drive a first class car? You're a first class individual. And I'm not saying that again like in a class manner. I'm like, do you view yourself as being worthy of that lifestyle? Because otherwise you're also going to struggle to charge for things. You're
Yeah.
going to have all sorts of issues that come across if you don't. So it's about building the right mindset for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people are very driven by earning and
Mhm.
status and power and influence and acknowledgement, and other people are not. And both of those are completely fine, but you just have to be honest with yourself about what it is that you want. Like if you just want to have like, 3 or 4 solid clients, predictable projects, a decent amount coming in so that you can take vacation whenever you want, spend time with your kids, write a book, whatever it is that you want to do. Like that's totally fine, but be honest with yourself that that's what you want, so that when you're at that point, you can stop and you can appreciate it and you can enjoy it for what it is, instead of kind of pushing yourself beyond that and finding yourself kind of drowning in work and not able to take advantage of that freedom that you have. And there's so many ways that you can start out with good intentions, but then find yourself in a place that you didn't set out to get into. And you have to be
For
able
sure.
to, reframe that and adjust and kind of get back on course, because
Yeah.
only you know where you want to go. No one else can tell you that.
No, that's spot on. And you do have to be careful because years and years of conditioning will start to guide you down the same old paths again. So, like just what you said there, if that's what someone wants for their life, that is awesome. Go and do that. But don't go and chase the money and the cars and stuff if it doesn't relate. Because what ends up happening is you just end up in exactly the same position you're in now. If you're now in a profession you don't enjoy, chasing like, the career success, the money, the cars, or whatever the reason is you're doing it for, it's leading to burnout. So if you then go with the same mindset and suddenly get caught up in society's, oh, but actually so and so's got that Carl, it would be good to have a 7-figure business, so not a 6-figure business, and none of that resonates, then you'll get there and be like, oh God, I've done it again.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Like when I first started this, I got caught up in it. I was suddenly just losing sight of why I'd even set this up, and I was back chasing everyone else. And I was like, oh, hang on a second. So you've got to constantly refine and be like, am I chasing what I want here? Or is this someone else's goal? Just be careful that you're not slightly off track along the way.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's so easy. I've been there myself. And for me, one of the big reasons for working for myself was to have more balance in my life and prioritize my health and well-being more, and like sleep more and exercise more and spend more time with my friends. And then it's easy to find yourself in a situation where, oh my God, I haven't seen my friends in weeks. I haven't been getting enough sleep. I haven't been eating properly. And you tell yourself like it's just a temporary thing and that you need to do this now so that in the future you can have what you want. But if you're not careful, you can just always be kicking the can down the road. And instead of realizing like you are in the future, you're in the future of your past self. Your past self built what you currently have so that you right now can take advantage of that. And if you're not, you're almost cheating yourself into continuing. It's like if someone tells you like you're going to get a bonus at the end of the year, and then you get to the end of the year and they're like, no, 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 one more year and then you'll get the bonus. It's like that doesn't motivate you to want to continue building something when
No.
you know that you might be lying to yourself in the future. And so for me, one of the things has really been to know when to stop and reflect and celebrate the progress I've made, to take a couple of days off every now and again and kind of look at how's everything going? How am I feeling? Is there anything that I want to change? Is there anything that feels out of alignment? And allowing myself to change my mind about things that maybe I thought was going to be good, but then in practice it wasn't. Or like we were saying, getting pulled into a different direction by someone else around you, and then realizing, hang on, is this coming from me and what I feel is right, or is this them?